In 1968, there wasn't a single road on Alaska's North Slope. Then, that February, an exploratory drill rig in Prudhoe Bay struck the largest oil field ever discovered in North America. Big oil companies raced to stake out wells and begin drilling. Thousands of tons of drill pipe and equipment were needed at the remote sites. Without an overland supply route, a highway, the big boom would quickly go bust.
You couldn't hardly find a spot in the United States that would be more isolated for any kind of major resource discovery than Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. Because the oil field was 400 miles virtually from the nearest road, the decision was quickly made, well, we need a road to get here.
In December, the state of Alaska launched the first attempt to construct a road to the North Slope. Wanting to build as fast as possible, crews cut a swath through trees and undergrowth. It took 8 weeks for bulldozers to gouge a primitive 400-mile-long trail across the frozen tundra. In March 1969, a convoy of 20 tractor-trailer trucks struck north on the very first trip up the road. From the start, the rough terrain was a nightmare for the drivers. In the rush to build, the road crews had scraped off the snow and ground cover that insulated the permafrost, the permanently frozen layer of earth just below the surface. Exposed to the sun, the permafrost melted and the roadbed turned to mud. Forced to run in low gear over the rough grades, trucker Charlie Barr found himself crawling along at a tortuous 3 miles per hour.
You're just sitting there rocking smack back and forth like this. It was, it just jar your teeth out. So you're just easing in all the way up. It was very slow. The hours were just as long as the guys could stand it. Just when we never shut down till we couldn't go anymore to get the stuff up there.
The trucks, built for paved highways in the lower 48, couldn't stand up to the punishment. Springs, transmissions, and motor mounts all broke. The drivers had to improvise fixes on the spot. If the rigs couldn't be patched up, they'd be abandoned.
One fellow broke a front spring and took a 20-foot 4x4, and we sawed it off in increments till it built a spring for the front of his truck, and chained it in, and then he drove it all the way up and all the way back with that darn 4x4. It worked well.
The trucks got just 1 mile to the gallon, so fuel tankers had to accompany the first convoy to refill the diesel-guzzling rigs. Trucks were kept running 24 hours a day to keep engines from seizing in the sub-zero cold. Each truck burned 80 gallons of fuel a night, just idling. With no camps to shelter them, the men slept in their poorly heated cabs and struggled to keep warm. 200 miles into the trip, the convoy had to climb over the rugged Brooks Range, through 2,000-foot-high Anatuvik Pass. In the mountains, raging blizzards obliterated the road. Luckily, the self-sufficient drivers had carried along their own front-end loader to clear the way.
The worst part about it, when you get blown in, why the snow covers in the engine, it plugs off the air cleaners and all that stuff, so you don't get any sleep time. You gotta keep tending the trucks and making sure that you can move when the thing does quit blowing so you can get out of there.
In late April, 450 miles and 23 days after setting out on the pioneering road trip, the exhausted convoy staggered into the oil well camps and delivered their loads. The intrepid truckers had proven that the North Slope could be reached overland, but at a heavy cost.
You know, it's tough, really tough. The worst trucking I've ever done in my life. This is when I first started getting bald-headed.
After the spring thaw, the road turned into a muddy, impassable river. It was used once more the next winter and then abandoned. The state's pioneered truck trail was a dismal, wet failure.